cooperation as opposed to competition. When we're talking about jurisdictionalism, we're talking about county executives, county governments, city governments, and a mayor kind of competing with one another for resources to make their little area better. Regionalism, I think, says, let us cooperate together. Let us see what's the best use of our resources to help one another and to help to overcome the issues that we struggle with as a society. So it really calls for regional cooperation. And that's probably my understanding of it.
Father Lawrence, regionalism is a word that as Father O'Connor said, is something that it sounds wonderful, but in practice it is fought very hard, isn't it?
It certainly has been. Look at the big controversy over 200 poor families moving out of Baltimore City 3 years ago, the moving to opportunity thing. On the other hand, there are things that have been able to be done that have worked. Look at Montgomery County. I mean, it's right down the street from us. 20 years ago, they realized that building $400,000 homes for everybody, they were not going to have anybody teaching their schools because teachers can't afford to live in $400,000 homes. Where are their policemen and firemen going to live? They passed a law that said new developments have to make provision for the middle class and the poor in a fairly limited way. 85% of the development can be market rate, but 10% has to be set aside for moderate income, first-time home buyer, teacher, policeman, fireman type families, and 5% for the poor. Section 8, public housing, something like that. It enabled them to integrate their communities an order of magnitude more than they were a generation ago. And they're still the second wealthiest county in the United States. It has not been bad for property values.
Right, right. It shows that if a jurisdiction, if a community has the will, it can do something about it.
Now, what would happen if the city and the 5 counties got together and did something like that across the board, so that rich and poor and middle class will have opportunities across the region to choose a place to live? Wouldn't make any big difference in 1 year or 2 years, but over 10 years or 20 years, it could begin to undo the hole that we've dug ourselves into since 1945.
I think that we have, there are a number of problems that forestall that too, though. I mean, one is race. Let's talk about race, because it's when some people hear regionalism, they think, well, that just means Baltimore City and African Americans moving out to the white suburbs. Father O'Connor?
Well, certainly people think that way. I also know that people think that that's also a way of diluting some of the black majority in Baltimore City, so that it's sort of both sides of the question there. But I think that this is a long-term thing. You know, as Father Lawrence said, we took a long time to get here. It's going to take a long time to get us to a better place. And I think Beyond the Boundaries is part of that long-term approach. It is one that says, we're not going to do a 6-week program and everything's going to be better. We're going to raise consciousness. We're going to form people and create some new ideas and some new understandings. And over time, and that may be a generation, maybe a generation or and a half or two, there'll be a different understanding and a different approach to these issues. Mm-hmm. So this is a long-term.
Yeah. I think we have that video ready to run on regionalism now. Shall we take a look at the regionalism video?
This is Father Don Sterling's explanation.
Yeah.
The opposing view is the term regionalism. Think of yourself as being in a boat. We're all out on the bay together. This boat, if it goes down, takes all of us down. If it sails on to Annapolis, we will all arrive there together. The perspective of regionalism might be expressed in this way. Each region understands itself to be a part of a pie, so to speak. We are recognizing our interconnections politically and economically. And the best interests of the region as a whole serve the best long-term interest of each of its parts.